So far, guns, traps, and fire have been ineffective against Michael. But in Halloween 5, a little affection actually makes him cry. And then 5 seconds later, he's trying to stab Jamie again. Classic family reunion energy. What the f*** is up, Internet? Welcome to the channel, and thank you for checking out this episode of The Reviewer. I actually really like this movie. I mean, I have some issues with it, for sure. I mean, I don't think you can go into a movie and be 100% satisfied. Maybe the first one is about it. That's the only one I'm really like. Everything was pretty much flawless. Perfect! But Halloween 5 was very, it knew how to raise tension. It gave us some really satisfying action and some, jump scares and some thrills. And there was some pretty good Halloween stuff in this. But it definitely still had its faults. We'll get into that.
Don't you remember how much better you used to be?
My expectations were pretty low, right? Because, people like the first one, the second one, and the fourth one, but not a lot of people are really praising the fifth one. And I was kind of surprised. I remember it. I mean, I watched it back in the day. But so my expectations were kind of low because I thought it kind of dipped again, right? After 4, we got at the high of 4 and then it dipped again.
It's very inconsistent.
But as just a Halloween movie, the whole movie, I'm taking everything into consideration. I think 5's pretty good. The opening scene is fucked, okay? It's just fucked. So we get a little refresher on what happened at the end of 4. And then Michael falls down a mine shaft. He looked pretty fucking good when he's making his escape from the mine shaft. I don't know what mask they used in those scenes. But they should have used that one throughout the movie because the mask looked really bad in this movie.
In my opinion, that sucked.
But he escapes and then he's nursed back to health by a fucking river hermit. This movie came out at the end of the 80s. I forget what year off the top of my 89, I'm assuming. Was this something that was happening at the time where they're just creekside hermits all over the goddamn place? Why would this guy nurse him back to health? The dude is a hermit. He ain't got shit to spare. It's just him and his parrot. And he doesn't know he's not aware. I guess he doesn't have the radio down there, but he's not aware of who the fuck Michael Myers is. He tried to stab him. The first time he saw him. Well, choke him. And he falls out. And he's just trusting that when this dude comes to, he's gonna be cool. And Michael just kills his ass. Talk about an ungrateful bastard. I don't know. I mean, I guess they kind of painted themselves into a corner. You know what I mean? With how they have to, They have to conjure up how Michael survived the last movie.
It could have been worse.
The biggest problem I have about the story is definitely the connection thing. Oh my God, they doubled down on it. Again, they painted themselves into a corner by having her affected by Michael's evil at the end of 4. They went and doubled down on it to where every time Michael fucking farts, Jamie has a convulsion. Jesus Christ, dude. That was getting old.
Are you stupid idiots done?
And then Loomis is thinks that it's legit, that it's instead of just this girl having crazy dreams and convulsions. Maybe he thought that there was a connection there, but to be so convinced that it was legit to base all of his decision making off of that is just insane.
Listen to me. Drop the phone, go to the nearest store, get out of the house. Quickly, now, go on!
Did they write this movie and at the end they were how the fuck are we gonna get Michael out of jail? And they just were like, we have to create this character that just is in weird spots at weird times, just to like add some kind of fake intrigue.
That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Michael wearing a mask while he was in jail was weird. There was a lot of weird stuff. I don't think it takes away about my overall feeling for the movie. But yeah, there was a lot of like really weird things. Like how Tina was just like, oh, Rachel is, you know, her whole life revolves around Rachel, and then Rachel's missing. She doesn't miss a beat. And then her boyfriend's her whole shit. He's missing, and she doesn't miss a beat.
Tina! Where's Mike? Oh, ask me if I care.
She kind of fucked Jamie over, but then she like saved Jamie at the end, so she had like a redemption arc, I guess, within the movie as far as that goes. But I still think she was pretty dumb.
Decided to go up to the country with her parents. Oh, Max, shut your canine trap.
The characters and the acting, I mean, I feel like they put Jamie in a tough spot by making her do all like the freaking out and not being able to talk and stuff. I mean, she's just a kid. They kind of put her in a tough spot to try to make any of that shit look believable, because it really didn't. And that wasn't fair to her. Donald Pleasant owns Loomis's character. Oh man, he was like losing it towards the end. Like
What about your stepmother, Jamie?
yelling at this fucking deaf mute girl, using her as bait. Like Loomis was kind of going off the hinges. The kid that had the crush on Jamie, like I don't think he played a major role. He was just kind of like another potential victim.
But I do. Where? The Tower Farm.
But nobody really dropped the ball as far as acting goes. The characters, on the other hand, like there was some weird stuff. Michael, again, the mask is really bad in this movie. But I feel like at least throughout the first 3/4 of the movie, they did a really good job of just like kind of hiding him, right? Like he's in the shadows. You don't really see the full mask a whole lot until you get to the end when fucking Loomis has a heart-to-heart to him. Jamie has a heart-to-heart to him. He's just standing there like he's like losing his grip on his mask with Loomis before he fucking stabs his ass up or slices him. And then like he pulls his mask off and cries because Jamie's being sweet to him. I think Michael had some really high points in this movie because there was some really sick ass kills, which we'll get into. But yeah, they just kind of like showed a softening of him too, which is like, it's kind of strange. It's not like my favorite Michael Myers. As far as character goes, it always bothers me when I see Michael just driving around, right? Like, he's this like non-thinking, instinctual like killing machine when you need him to be, but then other times he's like doing covert missions. Like what the fuck? Wearing the mask. He didn't even need that chick. He didn't even need that. Well, I guess he needed the car. But wearing the fucking mask and how, I don't know, like there's definitely some weird spots with Michael in this movie.
You have to fight it in the place where it's strongest.
But everybody else, like, I mean, the cops, the other victims, everyone kind of played their part. So I don't have any other complaints. The characterization of Michael's a little goofy, and Loomis is crazy.
Mental institution. Crazy. Bitch needs straight jacket.
The movie looked good. I mean, I didn't have, I don't think it looked quite as good as 4. I think a lot more stuff was shot at night in this movie. So there's a lot, like, more darkness. Because 4, I mean, we were out in the daytime in this one, too. Like, he's kind of lurking around. I don't know how anybody doesn't see him. Like, when the girls are, like, walking through the park, Tina and the blonde chick, and they're talking about, they have this long ass conversation about fucking their boyfriends in this park, and Michael is just creeping around under a tree next to him. Was really strange.
Mikey and I like it in the car.
I mean, that was not a very good shot.
You can say that again.
Him, like the chase scene, I mean, it was super unrealistic. The fact that he couldn't run down a little girl with a fucking Camaro. But the way it was shot was crazy. And then he's like driving around in the woods. He can't be going more than fucking 5 to 10 miles an hour. And he hits this tree and the whole fucking car blows up. It's hilarious. But like that special effects with the explosion, even though it was like not very believable, it did look cool as fuck. All the kills were pretty good as far as like how they looked on camera. Loomis got some new makeup. I mean, his face looked a lot better. His hand, when he showed his hand, it looked like it was like just freshly burnt. It looked like he had a handful of fucking hot dogs. Like his hand was fucked up. Like there was like open sores on this shit. And this is like 11 years later.
Look at this. Look at that. I prayed.
But yeah, cinematography, the way it was shot, it looked good. I don't think it looked quite as good as 4, but it was still really nice. I feel like the only time you really notice the music is when it's bad in these kind of movies, because you're just kind of like focused on so much other stuff. Like you get the build up. I feel like a lot of that stuff is subconscious. Like when anxiety starts build, you don't notice the music that's helping you. You know what I mean? Your blood pressure rise. It's just the moment. So nothing like clashed with anything that was really supposed to happen. So I mean, and you get like the original vibe of the theme and spots you're supposed to. So far the only 3 of the music was really bad in that one, but so far everything else in the series up to this point is pretty on point. The kills, we got some pretty good kills. Probably up to this point a couple of the best ones, like the fucking garden tool into Leather Jacket's forehead was awesome. The pitchfork to the back of Blondie. The Michael impersonator, which is definitely a trend in this movie up to this point, is like, it's almost like a fourth wall break. Yeah, this is what Michael Myers looks like, and the characters are aware of it. It's kind of like it gives me like Scream vibes. Like this character is just known. And he's known to wear this particular outfit is just kind of crazy. Pitchfork's the boyfriend. He takes the weed eater to the girlfriend, which is pretty gnarly. You don't really get to see that. You don't get to see how he kills the cops.
I'm through fooling around.
Him killing Rachel with the scissors was pretty lame, actually. Yeah, the best kill has to be either the pitchfork or the garden fucking claw. The garden claw was pretty sick because, I mean, he fucking scratched up dude's car with it first and then stuck him in the head. Dude thought he was gonna be a tough guy.
You wanna play? Trick or treat!
Him stabbing that Tina girl wasn't that great. The fucking Loomis dies of a heart attack, I assume. I mean, I know he comes back, so I mean, I guess he's not dead, but the fact that he falls out and we're supposed to think he's dead because of a heart attack is pretty lame. I feel like the garden claw thing is definitely the best kill in the movie, though.
You don't have to be a genius to figure that out, Lucky Dick.
The themes and the messages of this movie, look, if a mute deaf girl is trying to tell you something, like, be patient with her. Don't shake her and yell at her. Try to like calmly politely ask her to write down what the hell she was talking about. Because if they would have just taken like 10-15 minutes and been like, look, Jamie, people are gonna get killed. If you know that Michael's still kicking, tell us where he's at, bro. Right? Like, they could have handled that way better. I feel like that kind of communication, and then all of a sudden she could just start talking. Like, why didn't she just be like, look, I can see where he's at. I wonder if maybe once she started being able to talk, if somehow that connection diminished some or something. Because all of a sudden, I mean, she after she started talking, she did have one like vision of him. That's what led all the cops to the children's hospital. Is when she's like, Billy, which was pretty smart on Michael's part. Again, he's just like pulling these like crazy smart ass moves, and it's like he's like a mindless evil killer. Like, what is he doing? How is he so smart in like instances, but then like at the end of the 4th, she's gonna run his ass over with a truck and he just stands there. Like, how we get two different people as far as intellect level goes is pretty strange.
Make up your mind.
This is a really good Halloween movie. Again, it's a lot like 4. I actually think I like this. Do I like this better than 4?
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Like, there's some problems with it, sure. But you get that classic scene. Like, 4, there's like some classic scenes in it. But like, when you think about the Halloween franchise, you definitely remember that scene where she is in the trash duct or whatever, and he's stabbing at it, and you're like, how is she gonna get away with this shit? Like, so there's like some classic scenes in this movie, and like, even though I think it's kind of goofy with him driving around, him wearing the leather jacket's mask is pretty classic too. I think it's a good Halloween movie. I do. I actually, my expectations were pretty low for it, and I think it surpassed those, so it just makes me kind of feel good about it. But I think it's a pretty good Halloween movie. Right? The ending is like, dude, like this random ass character I was thinking about it while watching. I was like, man, the people, like, I'm aware of the Man in Black because I've watched the franchise all the way through. But like, when people first saw the Man in Black back in the day, I was just trying to picture what they thought of it. They must have been like, what the fuck is this all about? Right? Like, they introduced it as a way to confuse you while watching a horror movie?
Who does that?
I don't know. I mean, I know where it goes from here, but I'm a little fuzzy. So I'm not gonna I'll talk more about the Man in Black in the next movie's review. But other than that kind of weirdness, the way that they kind of tried to mirror the end a little bit with the end of the first one, where Michael is just out. He's just loose, right? He's not dead. You know, he's out there. And so leaving it on that kind of a cliffhanger was really was better than a lot of the way they've ended it. Like the first movie and the second movie, they ended it pretty good. The end of the fourth movie was dumb. The fact that he just randomly fell down this mine shaft, you didn't even know that at the end of the movie, he just fell in a hole in the ground. It wasn't until this movie that you were like, oh shit, it's a mine shaft? Oh. I would recommend it. I think I would recommend this one. Is this one better than the fourth one?
Are you on drugs? Are you fucking on drugs?
The mask in this one's worse. The mask in this one looks really bad. But I wish they would have kept hiding it like they did in the first half of this movie. If they would have hid it throughout, I think this movie would be way better than the fourth one. So I would recommend you watch the first one, the second one. I think you have to watch the fourth one before you watch this one. At this point, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, not 3. Skip the third one, right? Watch the third one at the end. After you watch all of them, watch the third one last, because it's not even, and it's not even the same franchise. It doesn't even feel like it's in the same series of movies. But yeah, I'd recommend 5. Five's solid, I think. So out of 10, right? I gave the first one a 9, and then I gave the second one a 7. The third one is like dead last. I don't know what the number would be. Probably like a 4, 3 or a 4. The fourth one I gave a 6, and I think I have to give this one a 6 too. Right? It's not quite as good as the second one because of the mask. And they did like introduce that weird like connection thing in this one. Like they kind of doubled down on it, which I just am not a fan of that. I still feel like there's parts of this little, as I'm watching this little trilogy here, I'm feeling like they really did take from this when they decided to make Halloween Ends with the connection stuff. And it makes me dislike it more. I'm trying not to look at that because it's not this movie's fault, really. That they ended up making Ends because of ideas from these movies. But, it's hard not to look past it. So yeah, I would give this one a 6 out of 10 too. And that's my review. Let me know in the comments what you think. Did I nail it, or am I totally fucked in the head? Anyway, that's all I have for now. I'll catch you on the next one. Later.